Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Best English Podcast. I'm Sophia, your host, and I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining us for episode 32. In our previous discussions, we've thoroughly explored how to elevate your English proficiency by truly immersing yourselves in authentic, real-life situations. And we've even embraced the invaluable concept of learning from our mistakes as an inherent and natural part of your language acquisition journey. Today, we're going to build upon that strong foundation, pushing our boundaries further and diving into a topic that many of you, my dear listeners, have frequently told me is one of your most significant and persistent challenges: understanding different English accents. You know that often frustrating feeling, don't you? That moment when you're perfectly comfortable comprehending one specific accent, perhaps the crisp, clear American English you diligently hear in your favorite Hollywood movies or television shows, the accent many textbooks prioritize. But then, almost unexpectedly, you encounter someone speaking with a distinct British accent, perhaps the nuanced tones of the BBC, or a captivating Australian lilt, sometimes surprisingly fast, or even a subtle yet discernible regional accent from within the United States itself, like a thick Southern drawl or a clipped New England rhythm. And suddenly, it feels as though you've been dropped into an entirely different linguistic landscape, the familiar words momentarily dissolving into a less decipherable stream of sounds. It can be quite disorienting, feeling as if the language you thought you knew intimately has suddenly transformed, becoming elusive and unfamiliar. If that particular scenario resonates deeply with your own experiences, causing moments of doubt or confusion, I want you to know, unequivocally, that you are absolutely not alone. This is an incredibly common hurdle, a shared experience among English learners worldwide, a testament to the language's vast global spread. But I assure you, it is most certainly one that we can and will overcome together with focused effort, persistent practice, and the right strategic approaches. So, let's genuinely delve into the core question. Why does understanding these myriad accents feel so inherently challenging, often presenting a steeper climb than other aspects of language learning? Well, the simple yet profound truth lies in the very nature of English itself. English is not merely a language confined to one geographic location or a singular uniform speaking style. It is, at its very heart, a truly global phenomenon, a dynamic, living entity spoken with vibrant and diverse inflections across countless countries and continents. And within each of those regions, sometimes even within a single country, a specific city, or even a small town, a unique flavor of English emerges. Its own distinct way of artfully pronouncing words, its own melodic rhythm and cadence, and occasionally even its own specific vocabulary or deeply ingrained colloquial slang. This beautiful, intricate tapestry of linguistic diversity is precisely what makes it so incredibly challenging, yet equally fascinating. You might, for instance, be accustomed to a particular vowel sound that you've diligently practiced in your lessons, perhaps the A sound in cat or apple, only to then encounter an accent where that identical vowel sound is produced in a completely different, almost unfamiliar manner. It's truly akin to listening to the very same beloved song played on a myriad of different musical instruments. The underlying tune, the melody, remains consistent, but the intricate timbre, the texture, and the overall sound quality undergo a noticeable transformation. It is absolutely crucial to remember that no single accent is inherently correct or definitively wrong. Rather, they are simply diverse and equally valid ways of articulating the same powerful language, each carrying its own rich historical roots, unique cultural nuances, and proud regional identity. Embracing this rich variety is not just about expanding your listening skills. It's about becoming a truly global English speaker, appreciating the immense cultural richness embedded in language. Today, our journey together will involve dissecting some of the most crucial and telltale differences to keenly listen for when encountering new accents. We'll explore the subtle phonetic shifts that make one accent distinct from another. More importantly, however, I will equip you with highly practical, actionable, and real-life strategies, interwoven with some compelling personal stories and relatable scenarios, all meticulously designed to help you methodically tune your ear to this expansive and captivating world of English accents. Our ultimate goal is not to have you flawlessly mimic every single accent you encounter. That's an entirely different and much more specialized linguistic pursuit, perhaps for a future episode. Instead, our true aim is to empower you to comprehend English speakers from virtually any corner of the globe with significantly greater ease, heightened clarity, and unwavering confidence. This newfound ability will undoubtedly unlock a vast new universe of possibilities for you, opening doors to a broader range of movies previously inaccessible due to unfamiliar accents, a richer selection of music whose lyrics now become clearer, more diverse and captivating podcasts that expand your knowledge, and, most profoundly and importantly, countless meaningful conversations with individuals from all walks of life, enriching your personal and professional world in immeasurable ways, fostering deeper connections and understanding. Let's now meticulously delve into some of those key differences to keenly listen for. These are the subtle, and at times surprisingly noticeable, shifts in sound that collectively contribute to an accent's distinct auditory signature. Recognizing these fundamental phonetic variations is, without a doubt, the very first and most critical step towards achieving broader and more nuanced comprehension. Think of these as the primary musical notes that define a melody. Once you identify them, the entire composition starts to make more sense. Firstly, let's thoroughly discuss vowel sounds. This particular aspect is often one of the most significant differentiators between accents, and it's frequently where many learners first perceptibly notice a stark difference, feeling a pang of confusion. Take, for instance, the A sound, a seemingly simple vowel that undergoes remarkable transformations across accents. In much of American English, for example, the A in common words like bath, dance, or class is typically pronounced with a flatter, shorter A sound, closely resembling the A in the word cat or apple. This is often described as the shorta sound, or sometimes the flat A. This is a very common and recognizable American English pronunciation, one that is widely taught. However, in stark contrast, many British accents, particularly what is formally known as received pronunciation or the standard Southern British English, articulate that same A sound in a much longer, more open, and almost elongated manner, closely akin to the ah sound you produce when saying father or car. Consequently, bath in a British accent often sounds more like bath, and dance might be pronounced more like dans, almost as if there's an invisible H after the R. This seemingly subtle yet fundamental difference in vowel production can genuinely make otherwise familiar words sound completely foreign and unfamiliar if your ear isn't specifically attuned to it, causing a momentary mental hiccup as your brain tries to reconcile the sound with the expected word. Another illustrative example involves the O sound. In American English, the word hot is frequently pronounced with a more open ah sound, just like the O in father or spot, sometimes described as a wide open O. Conversely, some British accents might employ a shorter, more rounded O sound, much closer to the O you hear in words like got or off, almost as if you're quickly closing your lips slightly after producing the sound, making it a very concise vowel. Meticulously listening for these specific and distinct vowel shifts can remarkably help you not only distinguish between accents, but also adapt your listening comprehension much more rapidly and effectively, allowing your brain to process the different sounds with greater ease and fluidity, making the overall listening experience less taxing and more enjoyable. These aren't just isolated sounds. They're part of a larger system that your brain gradually learns to decode, building a new phonetic map. Next up, let's explore the intriguing world of R sounds. This particular phonetic characteristic is a colossal differentiator, fundamentally categorizing English accents into two principal groups, rhotic and non-rhotic. American English is predominantly rhotic, which means that we distinctly and audibly pronounce the R sound very clearly and explicitly, particularly when it appears at the end of words or directly before a consonant. So, for an American speaker, the word car has a very pronounced and distinct R sound at its conclusion, and the word park similarly features a clear, audible R sound that resonates even before the K. You can almost feel the R on your tongue. However, in stark contrast, many British and Australian accents are non-rhotic. This means they consistently and often entirely drop that R sound when it appears at the end of words or before consonants, or they might vocalize it into a neutral vowel sound. Consequently, for a non-rhotic speaker, the word car might sound more like ka, and park might be pronounced more like pak. This can be quite jarring and perplexing if your ear is not accustomed to it, as those familiar sounds simply disappear, leaving an unexpected gap where you expect to hear something, leading to moments of genuine confusion. My dear friend, Sarah, who grew up amidst the sunny landscapes of California, vividly recounted her experience visiting London for the very first time. She described her initial confusion when she confidently ordered a burger and fries at a charming British pub near Covent Garden. The server, with a distinctly non-rhotic accent, politely asked, "Anything to drink with your burger and fries?" Sarah, accustomed to the pronounced R sounds of American English and expecting the full pronunciation, genuinely thought she had misheard and kept asking, with a quizzical expression and a slight tilt of her head, "R, did you say R?" The server, displaying commendable patience and a slight, knowing smile, kindly clarified, repeating the words slowly, and Sarah, with a sudden light-bulb moment of realization, suddenly understood that the R sounds she was so utterly used to simply weren't present in the server's pronunciation. It was a funny and memorable moment for her, a small linguistic adventure that she now laughs about, but it perfectly illustrates how this seemingly small phonetic difference can initially create significant communication barriers, requiring your brain to actively recalibrate its expectations of sound. It's an auditory adjustment that your brain needs to make, almost like rewiring its sound recognition system, and with enough exposure, it becomes second nature, no longer causing confusion, but rather a comfortable recognition. Then there are the fascinating nuances of the T sounds. This particular phonetic phenomenon is especially noticeable and prevalent in American English. when a T sound appears in the precise middle of a word, particularly when it is nestled between two vowel sounds or between an R and a vowel, such as in water, better, city, or party. It frequently softens to a quick, almost fleeting D sound. This results in pronunciations that sound remarkably like water, better, city, or party. Linguists often refer to this as a flapped TT, or T tapping, where the tongue briefly flaps against the roof of the mouth, creating a sound softer than a hard T, but not quite a full D. In striking contrast, in many other English accents, that T sound resolutely remains a sharper, more defined, and crisper sound, often with a slight burst of air, particularly at the beginning of words or when stressed. So, for instance, a British speaker might articulate water with a very distinct and pronounced T, almost a crisp pop, whereas an American speaker would almost instinctively say water with that softened D sound, making it sound much smoother and quicker. Meticulously listening for this specific T to D shift is a classic and very recognizable characteristic of American English that can take some concentrated listening and getting used to, as your brain learns to associate a D sound with what you expect to be a T, and vice versa, which is part of the beautiful complexity of accents. It's not a mistake, it's a feature of the accent. And finally, let's explore intonation and rhythm. This captivating aspect refers to what I like to call the music of speech, the intricate way the voice rises and falls in pitch, which specific syllables are emphasized and stressed, and the overall pace, flow, and cadence of articulation. Different accents possess unique and characteristic rhythmic patterns that lend them their distinctive sound, almost like a regional melody or a unique heartbeat. For example, some accents might possess a more melodic, almost sing-song quality, with a wider range of pitch variation, sometimes rising at the end of sentences, even when they're not questions, giving a sense of continuous inquiry. In contrast, others might sound flatter, more monotone, or even more staccato, with words delivered in a more clipped and separate fashion, almost like individual beats. Even seemingly straightforward questions can exhibit vastly different intonation patterns across accents. In American English, for instance, direct questions typically conclude with a rising tone, clearly signaling inquiry and inviting a response. However, in some accents, particularly certain regional British or Irish accents, a question might surprisingly end with a falling tone, which can sometimes, to an unfamiliar ear, make it sound more like a declarative statement rather than a question, creating momentary confusion. This can be profoundly confusing when you're not expecting it, as you might genuinely misunderstand whether someone is genuinely asking a question or simply making an assertion, leading to awkward pauses or incorrect responses. Mastering these subtle musicalities of speech is key to both understanding and sounding more natural and fluent yourself, allowing you to participate in conversations with greater ease and confidence, picking up on implied meanings. Beyond pronunciation, there are also often common vocabulary differences, which can lead to quite amusing misunderstandings, especially if you're not aware of them. While the core meaning is generally conveyed, certain everyday words can be completely different depending on the accent and region, often reflecting local history, culture, or simply a different linguistic evolution. For example, in the U.S., we commonly say subway to refer to an underground train system, but in the UK, it's known as the underground, or affectionately called the tube. If you ask for fries in the US, you'll get thin, crispy potato sticks. However, in the UK, those are called chips, and what we call chips are their crisps. A warm, knitted sweater in the US is a jumper in the UK, while a vest in the US is a waistcoat in the UK, and a US undershirt might be a UK vest. If you innocently ask for a biscuit in the US, you'll be served a soft, savory, often flaky bread that typically accompanies gravy or butter. But in the UK, a biscuit is a sweet, often crunchy cookie, perfect with tea. Imagine the confusion if you expected one and received the other. A savory bread when you craved something sweet for your tea. Knowledge of these common lexical variations can proactively prevent awkward misunderstandings and make you feel significantly more comfortable and culturally aware when navigating conversations with speakers from various English-speaking regions. It's a small detail that makes a big difference in comprehension and reduces moments of awkward silence. Now, let's get to the most important part: practical strategies for improving accent comprehension. This isn't just about intellectually identifying differences. It's about actively training your ear and your brain to adapt, to become flexible, and to process sounds in new ways. This is where the rubber meets the road, where theoretical understanding transforms into tangible, usable skill. Immerse yourself with diverse English content, the accent diet. This is arguably the single most effective strategy, a true game changer that transcends traditional classroom learning by bringing the real world into your learning environment. You need to actively and deliberately expose yourself to the accents you want to understand. Think of it less as passive listening and more like adopting a comprehensive, varied accent diet for your ears. If you're perfectly comfortable with American English, for instance, consciously begin seeking out and consuming a rich variety of media, podcasts on diverse topics, television shows across genres, movies from different production companies, documentaries exploring various cultures, and YouTube channels specifically featuring speakers from the UK, Australia, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, or even different distinct regional accents from here in the US, such as a thick Southern accent, a nasal New England accent, or a flat Midwestern one. The wider the variety of accents you expose yourself to, the more adaptable and resilient your ear will become, much like a muscle gaining strength through diverse exercises. Make this a consistent daily habit, even if it's just for 15 to 20 minutes. Consistency is far more impactful than sporadic long sessions. Real-life example: my friend David, who lives and works as a software engineer in bustling New York City, spent years primarily immersed in American media. He consumed countless American TV shows, listened to American podcasts during his commute, and understood everything perfectly within that familiar auditory bubble. However, when his company unexpectedly expanded and began doing more business with a major client based in the heart of London, he found himself unexpectedly struggling to follow the fast-paced, often idiomatic conversations of his new British colleagues. He'd miss jokes, misinterpret crucial details about projects, and sometimes feel completely lost in the nuanced banter during virtual meetings, leading to moments of awkward silence or delayed responses. Determined to bridge this frustrating communication gap, he decided to tackle this challenge head-on with a structured, deliberate approach. Every evening, instead of his usual American sitcom, he deliberately started watching popular British dramas like The Crown, Downton Abbey, or tuning into BBC News programs, consciously choosing content with a variety of British accents from different regions. At first, he conscientiously used subtitles, meticulously connecting the written word to the unfamiliar sounds he was hearing, carefully noting how the R's disappeared or the T's remained crisp. As his ear slowly but surely began to adjust, recognizing recurring patterns and internalizing new sound combinations, he gradually challenged himself to turn them off for increasingly longer periods, forcing his brain to rely purely on sound. He even started listening to a popular British history podcast during his morning commute, forcing himself to concentrate intently without any visual cues, even rewinding and re-listening when necessary. After just a few consistent months of this dedicated practice, he told me excitedly, his voice full of newfound confidence and a hint of a new accent, that he could understand his London colleagues almost effortlessly. He exclaimed, "Sophia, it was like a secret code had been unlocked." I started intuitively hearing the R's disappear and recognizing their unique rhythm and intonation. It truly made an immeasurable difference in my meetings because I wasn't constantly straining to understand every word. The flow just made sense, and I could participate much more actively and confidently. David's experience powerfully demonstrates that consistent, targeted exposure, combined with active engagement, truly works wonders in reshaping your auditory comprehension. Focus on the main idea, not every single word, the big picture approach. This is an absolutely crucial mindset shift, especially when you're initially grappling with an unfamiliar accent. When listening to someone with an accent you're not used to, it's incredibly easy to get frustrated if you miss a single word or two, or if their pronunciation of a familiar word sounds completely alien to your ears. That immediate reaction is common, but it's important to move past it. Don't let that frustration derail you or cause you to shut down. Instead of panicking about a lost word, train yourself to actively grasp the overall message, the general gist, the core idea, the overarching narrative of the conversation. Context is your most invaluable ally and biggest clue giver. Even if you miss a specific verb, an adjective, or a particular noun, the surrounding words, the speaker's tone of voice, their body language, and the overall situation can often help you infer the meaning with remarkable accuracy. Your brain is incredibly powerful at filling in these blanks if you give it the chance to connect the dots, rather than fixating on isolated, potentially confusing sounds. Real-life example. Maria, a brilliant international student I know who recently moved to Boston for her studies, found herself constantly getting stuck when listening to rapid-fire local news with strong, unfamiliar regional accents, particularly the very distinct Boston R-dropping and specific vowel sounds. She'd compulsively pause her audio, rewind, trying to understand every single word spoken, meticulously analyzing each one individually, and in doing so, she'd inevitably miss the entire flow and narrative of the story. This cycle of pausing and rewinding became exhausting, incredibly discouraging, and made her feel like she wasn't progressing. I advised her, "Maria, try to just follow the storyline, the main points, the overarching narrative. Don't worry about understanding every single noun, adjective, or minute detail. Let your brain actively fill in the gaps based on the context of the entire sentence or paragraph, like solving a puzzle with most of the pieces given." She started watching local news segments, initially focusing solely on the headlines and the general plot of each story, rather than attempting a verbatim transcription. Slowly but surely, she realized she was consistently catching the core, essential information: who, what, when, where, even if she missed a few auxiliary words here and there. This approach significantly reduced her anxiety, made listening much more enjoyable and, ultimately, dramatically more effective, as she felt a sense of accomplishment rather than frustration, transforming her listening from a chore into an engaging activity. Shadowing with different accents. Become a sound mirror. This is an incredibly powerful and often underutilized technique we've talked about before, and it is exceptionally fantastic for tuning your ear to specific accents and even improving your own pronunciation and intonation. To execute this, find a short audio clip or video featuring the specific accent you want to practice. Listen to a sentence or a short phrase, then immediately try to repeat it, diligently mimicking the speaker's exact pronunciation, their unique intonation, their precise rhythm, and even their speed as closely as humanly possible. You're not just passively repeating words, you're actively trying to embody the sound, to become a living, breathing sound mirror that reflects the auditory patterns. This physical act of mimicking helps to internalize the sounds and patterns, training your mouth and your ear simultaneously. Real-life example. My friend Leo was absolutely determined to improve his ability to understand Australian English because he had a long-awaited trip planned to Sydney and wanted to feel truly immersed in the local culture. He found a captivating Australian travel vlog on YouTube and thought it would be the perfect resource, full of natural, spontaneous speech. His routine involved playing a short segment, perhaps a sentence or two, pausing it, and then trying to mimic the vlogger's words precisely. He focused intensely on their unique vowel sounds, like the I in like sounding more like oi, or how they pronounced their R's at the end of words, and the distinctive rising intonation at the end of some sentences that is quite characteristic of Australian English. At first, he admitted he felt a bit silly, practicing alone in his room, and his tongue often stumbled over some of the unfamiliar sounds and rapid rhythms, making his attempts sound clumsy and forced. But Leo persisted with unwavering consistency, committing to this practice for just 10 to 15 minutes a day. Slowly but surely, he could truly hear the marked difference in his own pronunciation, making his speech more natural, and more importantly, his ear became remarkably more accustomed and attuned to the Australian accent. He even found himself spontaneously picking up on some common Aussie slang phrases like, "No worries, mate," or "G'day," or "Chucka UI," long before his actual trip, which greatly amused his new Australian friends and made his interactions so much smoother. Use transcripts and subtitles strategically. The scaffolding approach. When you're initially starting to tune your ear to a brand new accent, it is absolutely and perfectly fine to use subtitles or to meticulously read transcripts. This acts as an invaluable visual scaffolding, providing critical support by helping you connect the written word directly with the spoken sound, which is especially helpful when the pronunciation of a word is very different from what you might intuitively expect based on its spelling. It creates a powerful bridge between your reading comprehension and your listening comprehension, making the unfamiliar familiar. However, and this is crucial for true progress, do not rely on them indefinitely. They are a temporary aid, a training wheel for your listening skills. Once you begin to feel a bit more comfortable and your ear starts to adjust, consciously challenge yourself to listen without them. Then, if you genuinely get stuck on a particular phrase, a challenging sentence, or an unfamiliar word, you can turn them back on just for that specific problematic part to clarify. This strategic approach effectively pushes your brain to rely more and more on auditory processing, which is the ultimate goal for truly independent comprehension, rather than becoming dependent on visual cues, which won't always be available in real-life conversations. Engage with speakers from diverse backgrounds, the real-world lab. If you have the priceless opportunity, nothing, absolutely nothing, beats real, live, authentic interaction for improving your accent comprehension. Your brain learns best in real, dynamic social contexts, where communication is essential and immediate. Actively seek out and engage with people from different English-speaking countries. Join online language exchange groups where you can talk to individuals from the UK, Australia, Canada, Ireland, or even various parts of the US. Look for community events in your area if you happen to live in a multicultural city, as these are often hotbeds of diverse accents and cultures. Apps specifically designed for language exchange, like Tandem or HelloTalk, can remarkably connect you with native speakers globally, offering a fantastic platform for this kind of spontaneous real-time practice. Don't be afraid to ask for repetition or clarification. Most native speakers are delighted that you're making the effort to understand and are usually very patient and encouraging. Real-life example. Back when I was living in the bustling, diverse city of Los Angeles, I decided to join a local language exchange meetup that gathered every Tuesday evening at a cozy coffee shop. One memorable evening, I started talking to a woman named Chloe, who had recently moved from the vibrant city of Manchester, England, a place known for its wonderfully distinctive accent. Her accent was quite strong and wonderfully distinctive, and initially, I had to concentrate very hard to understand her, especially when she spoke quickly or her voice trailed off slightly at the end of sentences, which is a common feature in some Northern English accents. Instead of pretending to understand or nodding vaguely, which can actually hinder your progress and create awkwardness, I politely and gently, with a warm smile, asked, "Could you possibly say that last part again? I'm trying to get used to the beautiful Manchester accent." She laughed good-naturedly, a warm, genuine laugh that immediately put me at ease, and very patiently repeated it more slowly and clearly for me, even offering a brief explanation of a local idiom she had used. As we chatted for an entire hour, sharing stories about our lives and cultures, I found myself getting more and more comfortable with her accent. By the end, I was understanding almost everything she said with remarkable ease, and our conversation flowed naturally, almost effortlessly. It was a wonderful, natural learning experience, and to this day, we remain good friends. This experience truly demonstrates that direct, respectful interaction, combined with a genuine willingness to ask for clarification when needed, is incredibly effective and builds genuine connections beyond just linguistic understanding, fostering true intercultural communication. Understanding different English accents is truly like developing a new linguistic superpower. It unlocks so many more enriching conversations, provides access to a much broader range of captivating media, and fosters countless new connections around the world. It's an ongoing and fascinating journey, not a frantic race with a finish line. There will undoubtedly be moments of frustration when you feel like you're not making progress or when a particular accent just seems impenetrable, like a wall of sound. That's perfectly normal. Everyone experiences it, even native speakers encountering new accents from different regions of their own country. The key is not to give up, not to let those momentary frustrations define your entire learning process. Every single minute you spend listening to a new accent, every time you try to decipher a new pronunciation, you are actively building new neural pathways in your brain, strengthening your auditory processing capabilities. You are training your auditory system just like you would train a muscle at the gym. The more you exercise it, the stronger and more flexible it becomes. This process takes time, and the results are often gradual, manifesting as subtle improvements over weeks and months, but they are undoubtedly cumulative. Each small step adds to your overall capability and confidence. Think about how a baby learns its native language. They are exposed to a chaotic symphony of sounds, a continuous stream of voices around them, filled with various intonations and rhythms. And slowly, over months and years of constant immersive exposure, they begin to differentiate, understand, and eventually reproduce those sounds. You are doing something remarkably similar, but with the added advantage of existing linguistic knowledge. You have the advantage of understanding grammar rules, of foundational vocabulary, and sentence structures, but you're fine-tuning your ears to new sonic variations and patterns. This process can be conscious and accelerated with the deliberate strategies we've discussed today. Furthermore, never underestimate the powerful role of contextual clues. When you're struggling with an accent and a specific word or phrase sounds garbled or unfamiliar, lean heavily on the surrounding words, the general topic of conversation, the situation you are in, the speaker's body language, and anything else that can give you clues about the meaning. If someone mentions a jumper in a cold environment and you know they are British, you can confidently infer they mean a sweater, even if you've never heard the word used in that context before. If a conversation is about sports and someone mentions football with a British accent, you can deduce they are likely talking about soccer, not American football. Your brain is an incredibly powerful problem solver. Give it enough pieces of the puzzle, and it can often figure out the rest, cleverly bridging the gaps where direct sound recognition might fail. Trust your inferential abilities. They are a vital tool in your listening toolkit. This journey of accent mastery is also a profound journey of cultural discovery. Each accent carries with it a piece of the history, the unique humor, the regional idioms, and the distinct perspective of its specific region. By diligently learning to understand different accents, you're not just improving your English, you're also opening yourself up to a deeper appreciation of the incredibly diverse human experience. You'll find yourself chuckling at inside jokes you now understand, appreciating local expressions that previously made no sense, and feeling more genuinely connected to people from all over the world. It enriches your worldview and your understanding of global communities. Finally, remember that your ultimate goal is effective communication and meaningful connection, not flawless pronunciation or instantaneous, effortless understanding of every single accent from day one. Embrace the exciting journey of discovery. Each time you successfully understand an accent you previously struggled with, or spontaneously pick up a new regional phrase, take a moment to celebrate that small victory. Acknowledge your progress, no matter how incremental it seems. These successes build momentum, boost your confidence, and keep you deeply motivated to continue your linguistic exploration. Keep practicing, keep listening with an open mind and a curious ear, and know that every effort you make is taking you closer to becoming a truly global English communicator, capable of connecting with anyone, anywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's expansive and detailed episode of the Best English podcast. I truly hope this deeply insightful discussion has been incredibly helpful and has equipped you with a comprehensive set of strategies and illuminating insights for understanding the amazing and diverse variety of English accents out there in the world. If you found this episode truly valuable and feel it has equipped you with new tools, please take a moment right now to like this episode, leave a comment below to share your personal experiences with different accents or what new topics you'd absolutely love us to explore in future episodes. And of course, subscribe to our channel so you never ever miss another episode filled with invaluable English practice and empowering linguistic insights. Keep going, keep practicing, and I'll be here with you, Sophia, ready to connect and learn together in the next episode.